My name is Matt Enns. I am the founder of Sovereign Man, a transformational men's coaching company that helps men heal their masculinity, reclaim their masculinity, and save their marriage. I'm going to be talking today about 3 books that every man should read that you'll actually enjoy reading. These are not the books that your wife wants you to read on your relationship and how to take care of her better. These are books that just in the last year I've had hundreds of my clients read. I've recommended each of these to them, and in every single case they've said, I enjoyed this, I got a lot out of it, and it improved my relationship. There's going to be one book on understanding your role in the relationship as a man. There's going to be a second book about understanding who you are as a man. This has nothing to do with relationships, but it will help improve your relationship. And the third book is about how to understand women. And that one, you really want to learn what that title is, and you really want to get that book. So first of all, The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. Very easy to find, absolute classic. I've read it several times. I probably read it every year or two. And this is a book that talks about the interplay of masculine and feminine energy in relationship, right? Masculine energy, just so you're aware, is driven, directed, purposeful. It provides structure. Feminine energy is soft, receptive, nurturing, flowing. And if you're watching this video, I'm going to make the assumption that you are a masculine man. And if you are, this book applies to you. A lot of modern relationships, and David talks about this in the book, are very, very neutral, right? They're demagnetized. There's no polarity of the masculine over here and the feminine over here. And you want to avoid that in your own relationship because that's boring, that's neutral, that's gray, there's no excitement. You're going to get bored and resentful. She's going to get bored and resentful. It is no bueno. This book is also going to talk about how important it is to have your purpose as a man and to have your purpose ahead of the relationship. Now, this isn't to say that you would choose the survival of your career over the survival of your wife, obviously, but it is to say that a masculine man needs to prioritize his purpose over his relationship very often in order to show up fully in the relationship as the man that he wants to be and as the woman that ultimately she wants him to be. And he does a really beautiful job of walking through why this is. He also explains a lot how women are more flowing and more more like an ocean than men are, who are more directed and linear, and how to dance that dance of order and chaos in your relationship. Really, really good stuff. Also talks about how to create sexual attraction by creating polarity in your relationship, right? And this can be something as simple as understanding that sometimes when she tells you to change your mind, you should not, right? Because you want her to learn that you are a man who trusts himself and trusts his own wisdom, not a man who is easily swayed. Right, so it's got some really good examples of how sometimes doing things that she tells you she doesn't want you to do, are actually going to increase her attraction toward you, make her feel better in the relationship, make the relationship a little bit more spicy. And he also just has a lot of good advice for men in general, but he explains it in the terms of how it actually impacts the relationship. So an example of this would be a man has to have an edge, right? He has to have something hard to him. He has to be willing to push his comfort, go out into fear, and do things that are challenging for him. And what impact this has on the feminine half of the relationship, being with a man who has that edge. It also talks a lot about leading with open-hearted strength, right? Being strong, but also being really open, being able to be present in the midst of an emotional storm, look at her with love in your eyes, what it means to have masculine presence in relationship so that you can share that calm, centering, magnetic force with her that is masculine presence. Couldn't recommend that book more highly. The full title is The Way of the Superior Man, a spiritual guide to mastering the challenges of women, work, and sexual desire. The second book, and this has nothing to do with relationships, this is about the masculine psychological development process. It's called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, and it's by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette. Another classic, a little bit less known, but this really breaks down the 4 masculine archetypes, which is King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. What aspect of your psyche is the king, right? That part that can bring order to the world, that can bring stability, that can cause growth in a kingdom and keep it safe. The warrior, that part of you that wants to challenge, to overcome, to compete, to conquer, and how to channel that properly in your own life. The magician, that part of you that's thoughtful, introspective, that has knowledge of secret things, that knows how to take ideas and turn them into reality, that knows how to transform things, how to alchemize things. And also the lover, the party that knows how to enjoy, how to play, how to enjoy your senses, smell, taste, touch, how to connect empathetically, how to be nurturing. It talks about how you need to balance those four in your own life. What happens when they're unbalanced, right? If the king is unbalanced, he becomes the tyrant rather than the wise king. If the warrior is too much, he becomes aggressive rather than protective. If the warrior is underactive, he becomes kind of passive and weak. If the lover is too much, he becomes kind of this addicted lover. And if there's not enough lover in your life, if that archetype is underactive, he becomes the impotent lover, the very, very needy, clingy lover. And it's a bit more of an academic book, so it's a little bit more challenging. Way of the Superior Man is really, really approachable, really short chapters, not a lot of words per page. King, Warrior, Magician, Lover does get in the weeds a little bit, so feel free to skip the section that talks about the mythology of these archetypes and where they come from historically if that's not your thing. But it will teach you how to manage your own psyche so that you can show up with the most powerful presence that you can, how you can activate the warrior in you, maybe if you're lazy or procrastinating, how you can activate the magician if you're somebody who has a little bit of trouble getting out of your own head or turning your ideas into reality. How to bring the lover into your relationship. And that's one that a lot of men are missing, because a lot of men are very warrior dominant and they don't know how to rest and relax. And so the warrior, and the book explains this, the warrior, just like a soldier would in real life, the warrior gets sick of never getting rest and he starts to attack the wrong things. He refuses to show up to battle. So it just breaks all of those things down nicely in a really beautiful way so you can understand yourself deeply and optimize who you are as a man so you can show up as the fullest, most impactful, most powerful version of yourself. There is also a deep dive academic book on each of these four archetypes by the same authors. You can read those if you're really interested in the topic. I've read them and they're insanely powerful, but they're super academic, so it's probably not going to be for everybody. This is a great, approachable summary. Highly recommend this. Study this. Studying this is no different as a man than studying yourself. Really powerful. The third book, which I cannot show you because it is not actually a book, is a audiobook. It's a recording of a seminar that Alison Armstrong gave, and it is called Understanding Women, Unraveling the Mystery. Almost every single client that I work with reads this book. I bet I had, okay, I guess not every single one, but I bet I had, north of 200 clients last year who listened to this, and many of them, maybe close to half of them, listened to it more than once. She's kind of this really sweet grandmotherly figure. She's just got this vibrant energy to her. She's funny, and she has been studying men for 40 years or something, and she teaches women about men. And this is one of those rare times where she decides to teach men about women. But since she understands men so well, she can teach us about women in a way where we go, oh, that actually makes sense, right? So she walks through some really powerful ideas about what safety means to women. And since men don't really think in terms of safety, we exist almost like predators in the way we view the world, right? We're like, that's the thing we want and we're going to get it. Whereas women exist more like prey in their mindset, right? They're like looking for threats everywhere and ready to jump and run away. So when you understand feminine safety, you can realize that when she's acting maybe what you consider a little bit erratic or crazy, it's actually that she sees a threat that you might not see. And that threat might not exist, but she sees that threat and she needs you to recognize that and understand that. And if you do, everything calms down. And if you don't, everything gets worse. She also talks about concepts like the love switch, right? Where when a man falls in love, the love switch goes on and then it stays on. And when a woman falls in love, the love switch goes on, but then she sees a sock on the floor. And when she sees that sock on the floor, the love switch flicks off. And when the love switch flicks off, doesn't mean she doesn't have this deep abiding love for you, but what it does mean is she is not actively feeling love toward you in that moment. And this is a really simple one, but when you understand that concept, the next time you're like, whoa, it seems like she just can't stand me and that she literally doesn't even love me. Like, what is going on here? You don't have to take it so personally and think it's all your fault and you're uniquely unattractive as a man. Her love switch is flicked off. And you're not going to be able to logically convince her how to turn it back on. You have to get her in her body. You have to get her in her feelings, make her feel loved. That love switch flicks back on. And that problem that was the end of the world evaporates and disappears. And you can go back to being in love with your wife and enjoying her company. So there's a whole bunch of concepts like that. But if there is one book on this list that you should definitely read, listen to, Understanding Women, Unraveling the Mystery by Alison Armstrong. I mean, this will, I guarantee you, radically shift the way that you approach your relationship. You'll actually understand your wife. And instead of her standing in front of you and you looking at her going, she is crazy. Like, I know she's smart, but man, is she dumb in this moment. This makes no sense. You'll actually understand where she's coming from. And you'll be like, oh, okay, I know what she's actually saying, even though the words she's using would make me think she's saying something totally different. Because I've listened to Alison Armstrong's work, I can actually understand what my wife is doing. I guarantee you, if you read this book, your relationship will improve dramatically and quickly. And that has been the case with every client. I incorporate a ton of Alison's concepts into the work that I do with clients. And even after watching 50 hours of the course content that I have in my programs, and I've got hundreds of hours, they'll read this book and they're still getting lots out of it. And they're amped up when they talk about it. And we'll be on a call with 20 guys, and one of them mentioned the book, and 5 guys will chime in and say, "Oh, you got to read this. Listen to it. You got to listen to it. It's the best. It changed everything. I learned this, and this." So if you want one single place to start, Understanding Women, Unraveling the Mystery by Alison Armstrong will make you understand your wife for the first time in your life. There's going to be some gut punch moments where you go, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's how I was handling this. No wonder she feels so unhappy. No wonder she said this." You'll actually get it. And you'll also have a bunch of light bulb moments where you go, "Oh, whoa, I could handle this so much better. That'll make this so easy. That'll make this easy to disappear, easy to handle, easier to reconnect with her." It's an amazing place to start. If you want to understand who you are as a man, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette. Absolutely amazing book. A little bit of a denser read, not really a challenging read. It's all pretty easy language, but it's just got some more concepts and academic stuff in it. And then if you want to understand the role that men are meant to play in a polarized, magnetic, exciting relationship with sexual tension and sexual excitement, read The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. And one honorable mention by a very good man, a friend of mine, is No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover, Dr. Robert Glover. This book is a beautiful combination of learning about yourself and your own psychological patterns and your history, as well as what that does and how that shows up in a relationship and how to address that so you no longer are a people pleaser, but you can stand up as that strong, magnetic man in your relationship and learn how to say no in a way that is received well by her. She feels safe when you're saying it. She feels attracted to you. She feels respect towards you. Really, really readable book, really enjoyable book. Recommended this to tons of my clients. So that would be a fourth one that I'd add on. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. I hope this was helpful. And like I mentioned, I am Matt Enns, the founder of Sovereign Man, a transformational men's coaching company. And I help men reclaim their masculinity inside of a relationship in order to save that relationship and prevent divorce. We've got a crazy good track record. And if you're struggling in your marriage and you want more than just books, you want some one-on-one help, you want specific directed coursework that you can work through in a sequential fashion, that is 3 things. It works. It's all based on my personal experience, and it's all tailored to men in your situation. There is no fluff. There's nothing like that. It is all action-oriented results. This is what you can now do to get this tangible result in your relationship. If you want that, click the link in the description of the video. You can set up a meeting with my team, and you can figure out how to get into one of my programs, buy my coursework, or work with me one-on-one.